G'day. Alright, so first we'll go through a quick update of progress on the Nexus project, and then I'll go into what I'm planning to do next. So first of all, the power is sitting at 1 terawatt. It's a combination of 300 nuclear plants and 1,000 fuel generators. The amount of summer sloops that I've used so far, I've used 98, and there's 5 left. With the summer sloops, I've used them on power and things that require nitrogen for a specific reason. Over here in the desert, I've hooked up a couple of these iron megaprints. So 2 of these are running now, and 3 of them are plugged in with water. So I've got a massive water situation happening here, which is all nice and neat as per usual. Okay, so what this little factory makes is 2,640 aluminium ingots per minute. I've decided to use the instant scrap recipe. There's several reasons why I've chosen to do that. The method I'm using uses no quartz at the moment. This is the main reason. One of the other things I've done is I've used some reanimated SAM and Caterium to boost up the production here, and we'll get into why I've done that in just a minute when we go through my my plans. And again, as usual, all the belt work is very neat, so it takes quite some time to put in, and some of these belts are actually coming from quite far away. As you can see, this bauxite lines come from all the way over here, up here, over there, and some sulfur from over there. Okay, one other thing I've done is use these 6 normal nodes of iron here, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, to make some steel mixed with oil, because these 6 nodes didn't fit in this area with the numbers for one of these iron megaprints. So over here, I've used exactly this pressurizer, the perfect amount of this pressurizer mixed with these 6 iron nodes over here makes an amount of steel, which I don't have marked out, but it's definitely written down somewhere. All right, as far as factories go, that's about all I've done since the last video so far, but I have done a lot of planning, and what I'm going to go through now is what I've planned out, basically. So here we are in the Satisfactory modeler, and what you can see in front of you might look like a giant mess, and that's because it is a giant mess. But at the end of the day, this all makes sense to me, and the big ticket item that I'm making here is the ballistic warp drives here. These are the most complex item in the game. And instead of doing a spread of all the endgame components, I've decided to just go hard on the most complex one. I knew that the bottleneck was going to be either aluminium or nitrogen. So as I increased the number, I started at 5 and just increased the number. So if I just, so it's at 40. So if I put it at 20, for example, all the other numbers in this production line change. So the aluminium, all the aluminium has been routed to this one bit here, and it says I need, what do I need here? Like 3,720. But as I ramp it up, that number will increase. So I ended up ramping it up to 40, and that requires 7,440 aluminium per minute. So that is 240 aluminium per minute more than what I can make with what's left on the map, and that's why I used some SAM ore. I already planned out over here, whoops, go away, my aluminium manufacturing. So the little one that we saw over just earlier is this one here, making 2,400, boosted up an extra 240 with the SAM. And this is what I have left in the map, 4,800 bauxite, to make the remaining 4,800 aluminium. Basically, the bottleneck ended up being not nitrogen. Nitrogen came close, but aluminium. Now, if we have a look at this production line to make the thermal propulsion rockets, sorry, not those, the ballistic warp drives, which require thermal propulsion rockets, it is quite massive. Now, some of the items in here, for example, I need to make 20 nuclear pasta, which is a massive undertaking in itself. There's some huge undertakings to be done in here. Not all of them have I marked out. For example, the quartz and some fuel here, for example, and some simple things like iron plates. But all the big ticket items that are going to bottleneck me, I've planned that out. So here I'm going to end up using 8,400 SAM ore. There is enough left in the map to do that, to make a whole bunch of dark matter residue. And that's all at the end of the day to make these dark matter crystals. Now the dark matter crystals use a lot of diamonds, and I've played around with the numbers quite a lot. I've decided to use 2,400 oil to make diamonds, and the rest I'm going to use coal and limestone to make cloudy diamonds. Now that is a lot of coal and limestone, but there is just enough on the map. All right, so that's what I'm making. That's what I'm basing my planning off. This number here worked out quite well. So for the nuclear pasta, I need 4,000 copper powder, and that is 24,000 copper ingots. So if we have a look at, for example, one of my 3 megaprints of copper ingot production, you'll see that they produce exactly 24,000 per minute, which is perfect. Like, I didn't actually plan exactly this to happen. 40 pure nodes of limestone and 20 pure nodes of coal. I will have to combine a lot of these normal nodes and impure nodes together to make that up. So it's going to be a massive undertaking just getting all these nodes together. What I'll probably do is take a few screenshots of this map and then draw circles around the nodes I'm going to pick up. I don't know exactly where I'm going to build the factory. I think I might just build it like out here in the Northern Ocean, but we'll see. All right, so what I've done is hit the full screen option on the calculator website, use the snipping tool to take a screenshot, and then I'm going to take this into Paint and basically mark out and circle the nodes that I'm going to take for the Project Diamond. Okie dokie, I've done it. That took me a little bit to plan out, but here I have the nodes marked out. So I need 40 pure nodes of limestone and 20 pure nodes of coal, or a combination of normal and impure to get to that 1200. So I'm gonna have to route all of these together, and then up here nearing in the rocky desert to finish it off, I needed 7 limestone and 1 coal. Could have a separate factory here, a separate factory here and here, but what I think I'll do is a massive amount of belt work and bring it all to one cloudy diamond factory, which it looks like most of the nodes and like bullshitting around, it's going to be down here in the south. Being a bus line of belts all the way down here, and have the cloudy diamonds somewhere around here in the grasslands, I guess. You know, I can and ah about where is the most optimal place on the map to put the factory, but with this game I find sometimes I get carried away with planning, and sometimes you just have to make a decision and just roll with it. And that's what I'm going to do, 99% sure. I'm going to build a massive diamond factory out here. Will be a bit of a long belt bus from the desert all the way across the other side of the map, but we'll work it out. Okay, well that took me quite some time to prepare the rocky desert. But what we have in front of us now is 21 pure lines of coal and limestone. So I thought, why don't I make the diamond factory look like a diamond, or somewhat thereabouts? So this is what I'm working on at the moment. Belting in all those belts can be quite tedious. So it's quite fun to have a different style of gameplay where you be a bit more creative. So there's 40 here, up here. And then underneath there's the 8 ones that are going to be running at 150 to do the crude oil. Have like a friggin' massive train station here. And then hopefully, like with the belts, make the belts look nice and awesome. All right, I've definitely been getting carried away here with the belts. I'm hoping at this stage it's going to look good, because right now I've spent so much time on these belts that I'm pot committed to what I'm doing. Here's what happens when you build a factory based on design and then you just go, oh, I'll worry about belting in the all the logistics later on. I've managed to get most of it. That's all well and good. All of this will be hidden in here, and then the oil is coming from all the way over there. I don't want any clipping at all, so I had to make this fit in, which it does. Now I am into the stage where I need to get all these machines belted in. So they do fit, so I can get bits in here to make them fit, but doing it without any clipping and staying within the diamond, it's going to be quite challenging. So I'm a bit stressed out about trying to get this done, but there's 8 platforms. As long as I can get one done, I can replicate that another 7 times. Do you ever get like halfway through a big factory and wonder, why did I not just build a big flat box factory? Oh man. Anyway, I think I've got to the point where I'm going to make it work. I've spent so much time trying to make these belts not clip, but I think I've finally come up with a solution. A row of 15 to serve each straight one and the diagonal across it. I've got them up at least without clipping. Now I'm trying to get them into the machines, but that's in with nice symmetrical curved belts. Now I should be able to get this one, do the same thing. I will then repeat that another 4 times, going back and forth, making sure it's exactly the same. That way I get that perfect like rotational symmetry. I'll just quickly show the effort that I've gone to hide all these power cables real neatly. So I've instead of using platforms, I'm using beams to hold all the machines up, and I've got the power cables running nice and neatly across the sides here, linking up, and then I've hidden them all inside here, and then I'm going to cover them up. But for example, up here, this line's going to come up through here to here, there, and then nice neatly just here up into the machine. I'm doing that like all everywhere, and then I'm going to come across and hide all of these again. So yeah, a lot of effort going into just the smallest thing of hiding the power cables, but it's all going to give it a real nice clean look. And even down here where I've got these bottom machines plugged in, I've even hidden these pipes and the power cables up through here. I need to put that back in, to the point where if you have a look here, I haven't actually got this pipe in, but I've actually got the power cable going through the pipe here, through the pipe, so you don't even see a power cable getting to these machines. And then if I put a curved pipe, this took me quite a while to put in, through to here, you'll see that that curved pipe has covered up the power cable. Finally, I've got all the belts in. That was massive. That is the most belting I've ever done for a single factory. So the actual massive long belt buses, which do look kind of like impressive, they're actually not even the hard part. So I've got a 28 belt bus coming in this way. And then I have 3 lines of whatever this is coming that way. And then I have a massive set of belts coming in from the train station, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now these, thank goodness, the blueprints and the auto connectors helped out a lot with the huge bus lines, but that's not even the huge effort. The vast majority of the effort, by the way, I put a bridge in. The vast majority of the effort comes from the miners. Belting in and working out how to get all this in neatly from the miners takes so much time, like more time than anything, like more time than the factory, more time than anything else, is going out and getting every single miner and bringing it onto the belt, onto the bus neatly. giving the miners power, doing it all without clipping, and doing it neatly. We'll just have a quick fly around and look at a lot of that stuff I've done. It's all around at these miners I'm looking at now, all over the map. Some of them group up onto existing factories. These ones coming from over there. All of this belt work through here, none of it's clipping. All up in here, through there, across there, everywhere. It's hard to even get an idea of how long this takes me to do this neatly, getting all the miners. We'll just have a quick look at, actually we'll go over to the desert because I did a huge train station as well, which I've done. The train line has also been done like neatly and no clipping. 2 30 carriage trains. So all the way up here to the train station, and then I've done all the belting for all of these miners all through here. This has taken me days to do. Days of just sessions of belting and belting and belting. And I have to take breaks because it gets monotonous. But I essentially have rules that I stick to when it comes to all these belts. But mainly the rule is like 90-degree corners, no clipping allowed. And neat power lines, neat belts. Essentially, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the playthrough. And hopefully, it is simple, but with the amount of belts that I'm building, it'll eventually start to look like really, really nice. Right, so these, it's from the swamp and over here into the train lines, into the train. And then the desert is the same again. Just belts after belts after belts coming in. So while I'm here, we'll talk about the train throughput. So if you haven't done any big builds on trains, there is a throughput issue. So what I actually have here is each belt of 1200 gets split into 2 train stations because it's such a vast distance away. And in front of each station, I have a storage container. The reason for that is what I'll show you when this train comes in is that when a train actually is doing its unload or load animation, these train stations stop. It will no longer load. So what will happen if I just had one 1200 belt, or if I had the splitter without the storage units, the belt would stop moving because these will no longer accept product. So if I didn't have these storage containers here, the belt would stop moving and we wouldn't be getting the perfect throughput. So we'll just let this train come in and do its animation. 30 carriages is the longest train I've ever made. So that's going to grab its stuff. And if we have a look while this is happening, see it's stopped. We're no longer feeding. Now it's the same on the output, but because I've got these storage containers here, I can still keep feeding with my 1200 line and not lose that throughput. Now this will catch up. So when the train's finished, once it's finished its animation, look how many there are. Takes a while, it's a bit glitchy. All right, so it's finished its animation. Now these are going to start pumping through. That's a 1200 line into 2 split, so it's 600. But because of the storage container, it'll catch up. So we'll go over and have a look at the other end of it. 2 train stations on the output side. So they will stop their animation, but because there's 2 feeding into a storage unit, this storage unit will back up and allow me to have, and I've had this running for quite a while. We have a look down here. It'll allow me to have that 1200 throughput, constant 1200 throughput, which is exactly what I need on every single line. Now I've got this train station running from all the way here, and it runs up along the coast through this valley up here and up into the desert. I've only got 2 trains running, 2 30 carriage trains for 15 pure nodes. And this has been running for many hours now, like this, obviously. And the throughput is fine. I thought that I was potentially going to have a 3rd train, but this 2 trains seems to do it, so we'll leave it at 2 trains. Coal in the middle and limestone either side. So I'll feed these massive belt buses into this area here. It'll be a bit spaghetti in here, but then I'll cover this up with some coated concrete. 29 in this section, miners this is. 23 miners over here and 41 miners over here, which is 93 miners in total that I had to hook up. All right, we've tested the throughput on the train, so it's time to get rid of this temporary setup with the resource sinks and belt it all in. So I might do one of those boopy things. And there it is. Bloody easy. Okay, I'm having a bit of a meltdown here. What I'm doing is I'm plugging in all these lines, and it's looking like there's a potential like I may have made a mistake. Who would have thought with 60 different nodes coming in, I could have potentially made a mistake somewhere. Anyway, so the belt, there's 15 coming in from the train. The idea is to make them all limestone, coal, limestone. So I'm bringing them in, I'm plugging them all in. This is getting covered, so the spaghetti doesn't matter. Right, bringing all the lines in, taking account for it. Coming all the way around. Come around here, plugging all these in, and I get to the last bit. And it looks like, unless I've made a small mistake here on this somehow, I've got somehow 1 extra coal node where I need 2 limestone nodes, and boy oh boy, is this going to be some sort of fix that I have to conjure up. I'll come back in a minute after I have another quick look through, and we'll see where we're at with this, but this could be potentially a big spanner in the works. Yep, well, I've had a look around and it looks like I've just straight up made a mistake. So somehow I've got an extra coal node in here that I don't need, and I'm short, essentially I'm short 1 belt now. So I've got to change one of my coal lines into a limestone node and add another node into the mix. So I'm not doing it on the train station because that's done. Train is like locked in. It's 15 lines evenly spread. I don't think I'm going to do this one because I've already got these nice and even. What I'm going to do is change one of these coal lines into, which I think this one is a pure one, change this one into limestone and then add a line right in the center here. That shouldn't hopefully be too much effort. I can get a limestone node from somewhere and smack it in, and then this stays symmetrical. And this line here is going to change to limestone. All right, well, let's get into it and fix it. Okay, so it turns out that I may have not made a mistake and wasted a shitload of time trying to fix it. So I've reverted back to an old save, and I'm trying to do some troubleshooting here, and I am absolutely losing my mind. Have a look at this. All right, coal. This belt is coal, right? Look, this belt is coal. It's still coal. There's coal in here. And as we come up to here, it's limestone. What the hell? Like, now that I've increased the object limit, I've noticed a lot of buggy things happening in the game. Like pipes and things are starting to play up. I cannot understand what's going on here. Oh, wait, look at that. What? What? How is that? So weird, dude. What? Are they... I can't understand what's happening here. Alright, so I'm only going to connect one of them. This should be coal. So there's coal going up. Alright, there's coal going in now. Alright guys, that is it. That is the end for this video. I didn't want it to be too long. I tried to edit it down as best I could. I also tried to put a bit of effort into the cinematic at the start. And don't even get me started on the color changing of this thing. Yes, you can change the color of the belts with the customizer, but you cannot do the whole lot of lights. So I had to change the color of the lights every single time. And then I had to blueprint it in because of the way Fix It Cam worked. It was a whole thing. On the bright side, I do have blueprints of this factory in every color. And I'll link the blueprints and the save file in the comments, not in the comments, in the details. But yeah, that's it. Have a good one and catch you later.